find solution for this inequality and discrimination in this society. Reservation in education and employment and political arena is very important to empower marginalized sections, those who are suffering prolonged. But there is no reservation in private sectors. There is no reservation in promotion. There is no reservation in higher judiciary. There is no reservation for women. But today they have introduced a bill for women reservation. So this kind of handicaps are there in these reservation policies. Ruling people are converting all public sectors into private sectors. There is no proper implementation of reservation in all sections across the country. This is the high time to consolidate all reserved category people all over the India. Our great leader, revolutionary leader, Kanshiram Ji, fought for the unity of Bahujan. He has dedicated his life completely for this consolidation across the country. What do you mean by Bahujan? Bahujan means majority. We are the majority. Who are the majority? Scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, minorities, and OBC. We have to know one fact in this formula, that is exclusion of forward community or exclusion of Brahmins. This is the prolonged fight in our country. Exclusion of Brahminism, exclusion of Brahmins, or exclusion of forward community. OBC mindset is, I wish to convey my message frankly, that OBC mindset is not against forward community. It is against scheduled caste and scheduled tribes across the country. This is a bitter fact. We have to accept, we have to agree. Scheduled caste and scheduled tribes not against OBC improvement or empowerment. They never fight against OBC's empowerment. When Mandal report came into implementation, the only organizations of Dalits supported, extended their support. Ramvilas Paswan was the right hand of Sri VP Singh. He extended his support to implement Mandal report. All the Dalit leaders across the country have extended their support to implement Mandal report. But the forward communities, particularly Brahmin, particularly BJP, particularly Advani, led the struggle against Mandal report. They made a riot against Mandal report. We should realize who are the enemies for OBC, whether scheduled caste, scheduled tribes or forward communities. They never accept the empowerment of OBC people. They are fighting against OBC empowerment. After Mandal report, only BJP developed like this because of this Mandal report implementation. They have come to the state to fight against Mandal report, not against the reservation of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Forward communities still fighting against the reservation of OBC in the country. That's what they brought EWS reservation. That's what they put a ceiling for the reservation through the judiciary, through Supreme Court. So fight between OBC and FC. This is the factual truth. We have to understand and we have to realize. So my point is, all OBC leaders have to work together to change the mindset of the OBC across the country towards, against forward communities. This is a very important point I have to mention here. Scheduled caste and scheduled tribes people never against OBC empowerment. Always they are supporting Mandal report. They are extending their support to consolidate the unity of Bahujan. No leader from Bahujan, from OBC, to consolidate scheduled caste and scheduled tribes along with minorities and OBC in the country. But all the leaders from scheduled caste, revolutionary Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and Kanshiramji, struggled like anything to consolidate the unity of Bahujan. The unity of the Bahujan, this is the solution. Unless we make a unity of the Bahujan, we can't succeed this Sangh Parivar's conspiracy. So I would like to mention again and again, there is a solution for this crisis only through the unity of Bahujan. We have to come together. We have to work together. We have to fight together against the conspiracy of Sangh Parivars. They have an agenda that is nothing but Hindutva. What do you mean by Hindutva? Hindutva is not Hinduism. Hinduism is entirely different from Hindutva. Hinduism is a doctrine of people who are having belief in Shaiva, Vainava, like that. But Hindutva is a political agenda of Sangh Parivars. This is against OBC. But they are making a drama politics that we are Hindus. They want to safeguard themselves in the name of Hindutva. Our fighting against forward communities' dominance our fighting against exploitation of the forward communities, prolonged exploitation. But they want to hide themselves in the name of Hindutva among Hindus. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, our great leader Kanshiramji, and everyone is fighting to exclude Brahminism, Brahminocracy, Brahmin dominance, Brahmin exploitation. So this is very important meeting organized by this All India Federation of Social Justice to consolidate OBC, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and minorities. There is a big threat to the constitution, not only for the reservation. There is a big threat to the constitution. They want to dilute the constitutional values. They want to throw away this constitution because this constitution provides socialism and secularism. Secularism, pluralism, federalism. These are the basic factors of the constitution. But Sangh Parivars are trying to dilute these constitutional values. So now we are here to save the constitution. This is the first challenge for us. Unless we save our constitution, we cannot save the social justice. So this is the high time to make awareness among all marginalized sections, particularly Bahujans. We have to find a solution to consolidate OBC, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, minorities. This is need of the hour. Unless we can't succeed in our struggle, this is my humble message to you all. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. I now invite our guest of honor, Honorable Dr. Fauzia Khan, Member of Parliament from the NCP, to deliver an address.
Good evening, most honorable leaders who are participating in this conference, honorable ladies and gentlemen. I am happy to be part of this very important conference that speaks about social justice. Social justice is something that our Constitution has its thrust on. Our Constitution, under Article 15, prohibits discrimination on any grounds. And not having discrimination and building an inclusive society is the core spirit of the Constitution. But it is a very complex phenomena when we talk about reservations, because there is a kind of confusion in present times that talks about economic backwardness also. But as far as our Constitution is concerned, I feel the Constitution speaks about social backwardness, because Where there is discrimination, there is social backwardness. Even if you are economically very well off, you can still be discriminated against. And that is why, when providing reservations, the spirit of the Constitution says that it has to be social backwardness to identify what is a backward society in order to give reservation. Now, when we talk about this social backwardness, I feel it's a dynamic process. Because in society, certain communities continue to be socially backward, ostracized, discriminated against, and we have to identify them, bring them into the fold of inclusivity, and try to build up an inclusive society. And on this, what is happening in Manipur, when you give reservation to some community, the other community rises up, and this kind of an environment continues. So we have to tackle all these issues. First of all, the issue is of the identification of who actually is backward. There are many, India is a very diverse country. India has got so many communities. There are very small marginalized communities as well who have still not been identified as backward. So this identification is one thing that is needed. After a community is identified, and even after being given reservation, there is a question of implementation. Because even those who are categorized as backward, how well is welfare for these people being implemented by the government? That also is another challenge that we are seeing in society. I will talk on two things. One is about minorities and one is about women. Today, the Women's Reservation Bill has been introduced in the Parliament. And it speaks about reservation for SC and ST women as well, in proportion to 33%. But OBC reservation is missing from the bill, and there is no other community which has been included where many people are demanding, for instance, Honorable Chhagan Bhujbalji was speaking about the Maratha community in Maharashtra, or the Jat community in Haryana, or the Patel community in Gujarat. There are so many communities which feel that they are socially ostracized and they should be given reservation as well. Among women also, not only in parliament and assemblies, we need reservation, or we need a quota for women across all pillars of the democracy. We need them in bureaucracy, we need them in judiciary, we need these women to come up in all areas, all leadership roles, and here we have to speak about that as well, I feel. As far as minorities are concerned, I think minorities, and particularly the Muslim community, is purposely being ostracized in this nation in order to create polarization. Now, this community is placed at a very, very odd kind of position in society. Christian community, Muslim community, or other minorities, where there are mob lynchings, there are attacks on places of worship, you must have seen a viral video of a woman teacher who is asking the students to slap a student, a small child, because he belongs to a certain community. This kind of hatred is being propagated against the minorities. And I was very surprised to see the CBSE notification, the CBSE board, where education is supposed to be such a pious and a noble section of our society. CBSE has sent a notification that all schools must make an exhibition of the horrors of partition in front of little children so that they see the pictures of what horrors were there during the partition time. What is the purpose? The purpose is clearly that hatred should be bred against a certain community in this nation. And it is so dangerous that this is being done at a level where children are still growing up and their minds are still being formed. If you talk about justice, the most important thing that we should be talking about is about Bilkis Bano. In Gujarat, Bilkis Bano was raped, her family was raped, they were killed, a little baby of 3 years was killed in a very, very brutal way. And these culprits were convicted and they were in jail. And the Gujarat government decided to see that they are freed. And when they returned back to Gujarat, they were garlanded and they were honored because they did such a noble and a great thing by raping women of India. Is Bilkis Bano not a beti of this nation? I think we have to pay attention to this, and what is needed is, in order to identify backwardness, in order to make sure that it is implemented properly, in order to make sure that new social backwardness is not being created in this nation, we have to come up with a special mechanism in this nation. We have to insist on the government to build a mechanism that deals with social justice in the way it should be done, because it's always, I see in Parliament, it's a half-hearted approach. We always come up with one bill or the other which is giving reservation to a small community. Why cannot it be a wholesome thing? Just as Chhagan Bhujbal ji said, the Parliament is the institution which should actually now talk about increasing the limit of 50% that is there for reservations. Unless this limit is increased, and this is the right of the Parliament to do it, unless this is increased, we will not be able to give justice to all the communities that need reservations and they need special treatment in this nation to come up to the others, so that India becomes an inclusive society and there is real social justice in the real sense in this diverse nation. I know it is a very, very complex phenomena and there are so many challenges, but still I'm very, very happy that you have formed this federation and you have taken a step in this direction. We as me individually and from my party, we are always there for social justice, and thank you very much for having invited us here. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. I now invite our guest of honor, Honorable Mr. K. Keshav Rao, Member of Parliament from the BRS, to deliver an address.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Am I audible to you all, please? With Mr. Wilson?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm sorry. I recognize the presence of a lot of my good friends there in your hall. I would have really joined myself personally. I didn't know you were holding a seminar like this and you wanted to speak. I thought I would only go on the stream. Anyhow, the question is about social justice, which we have earlier also have participated in one of your deliberations where I had given my views. My views are not that definitive or descriptive or narrative in the sense. I always get bothered, despite all of us talking for this century, how come the social justice is justice? There's nothing like social justice, because any justice that you are asking for the people in a country like us, where absolutely 20%, 10% of people are poor, are rich, and others are really poor. We are talking about those sections. Then how come we have not been able to come out with some kind of a agenda, some kind of a answer to these problems? You know, these issues of Supreme Court and this kind of issues, cases have gone to Supreme Court many a time. And Supreme Court always came in support of the weaker sections. The question is this: social justice is nothing but equality. We are asking for equal behavior, a behavior pattern. In a country like ours, you have two classes. You see, you are always thinking, yesterday I was talking to the parliament and saying we are being identified more by the religion and the caste and creed. No, we are actually identified by the class. We belong to a class which really is fighting the other class, which is enjoying the fruits of independence, enjoying the fruits of development. Today, you know, most of us know that 42 to 50% of the wealth of the country is in the hands of 1% of people. And the other thing, even 60% of the wealth is distributed among 3% of people. So this is the class distinction that exists today in this country. That is why the communist friends talk about the class approach. This is what exactly they mean by it. So we need to fight. Unfortunately, what has happened is caste has also become the class. In this country, the weaker sections and the backward classes are nothing but poor people. They're identified as a poor. So when we talk about caste or when we talk about the class, we talk about the weaker sections in this country. The concept of social justice has not yet been defined by anybody, very acceptable to all people. Even Supreme Court, while it did not give definition, it did say, it leaned and said, anything that goes into the benefit of the weaker sections is social justice. This is what Supreme Court said in one of its judgment. I am not able to recollect that. But today, thus, when I'm talking of Supreme Court, the legal systems in this country has accepted social justice as a legal organ, as an organ of our justice system, legal system. So when we have all these things in our support, when people like you are in our support, when the backwarders are moving in our support, as Fauziaji just now said, take for example the bill today which had come before the parliament. It had asked for the reservation of women, which is really welcome. Really welcome in the sense it has done very good. We were asking for reservation, but it has discriminated within itself. It has exposed the drafter. It says it has that same kind of reservation of 30% or whatever percentage it is for SCs and STs. But it purposefully, deliberately forgot or eliminated the backward classes. When we talk about society, when we talk about law for a society, we talk about the entity. We talk about all the people put together. And the majority of them are nothing but the SCs, STs, BCs, OBCs and minorities. They constitute something like 70 to 75%. If you forget about it and discriminate it, bring SCs into that and SCs into that, which is welcome, which we want it, we are their co-partners. What we are trying to say is the attitude, the class attitude of the people who are ruling is that they look to entirely balance it to entirely a different class as such. This is what exactly we do. But what I'm saying is, while we talk about backward classes and we talk about social justice, we need to come out with some kind of a program, concrete program, by all of us, including the parliamentarians. Mr. Raja is also there, including parties. They must come out with some kind of a program that is going to do good. Now, of late, there has been a lot of discussion on some kind of a religion, Hinduism, and I'm not trying to get into that kind of a discourse. But I would like to tell you, the pernicious practices that this country had or adopted or practiced from the traditions, whom a person, no less than a person like Prime Minister, says all Sanatanis should join together, unite. That means what? It's a war crime. You are asking the Sanatanis join together as non-Sanatanis. This is exactly the attitude of the class. No, although I'm telling you here is a caste, it is a class. It is totally a Prime Minister coming and telling you. Now, what exactly does it all mean? When in Tamil Nadu, some kind of a slogan was brought out. Some friend of mine, as a minister, said that he doesn't believe in Sanatani or he doesn't believe in anything. He said he doesn't believe in caste. We don't believe in caste. Let me make it so clear to you that there is a thing like a caste, although Purusha Sukta. If you are trying to talk about Hinduism and say Hinduism never talked about it, it is Purusha Sukta which talk about it. And look into Rig Veda, the 10th mandala. What he said, he talks about Sutta Mandala, Purusha Sukta, and he said Brahmin is separated, Kshatriya is separated, Vaishya is separated, Shudra, and everybody is created, but Shudra is born. That means there is no hierarchy, there is no upward movement in that. So these are few things. All of us have been discussing, all of us have been exposing it. But nonetheless, we had not really come out with some kind of a program which will really become our tool to fight this class system or this society. I'm not trying to get into the right time. I don't want to get into the religious discourse at this point in time, although that's very important because that does not speak about the religion, but it speaks about the discrimination as such. It speaks about the poor and the rich as such. I would like to say about deal more with the this backward classes or this downtrodden. See, the other day, I heard, I mean, we heard in Parliament, and so what kind of a new class you are creating? Supreme Court, I forgot, I think, has considered one body which is weaker in strength should be classified as a class. It is Supreme Court judgment, please. When Supreme Court said one body can be treated as one class which has disabilities, that means we have accepted that there is a need for social justice and social distributive system. A distributive justice is what exactly we are asking. What is that distribution we are asking? We are asking social assets only. The land doesn't belong to anybody. Nobody has produced land. We think we have a right on that land. Even if I'm a farmer, even if I'm farm labor, even if I'm a tenant, whatever it is, my right should be accepted. That is why Tenancy Act came in. Now today you are giving you go by to that. So what I am trying to tell you, Mr. Wilson, is this, and my friends before me, see, social care has to be the affirmative action, which I thought is a revolutionary concept, which not only India gave to herself, but even Ambedkar had really championed that cause. This affirmative action that we are asking, this is removing the discrimination. We should think that we must rely more on that. We should champion that cause. And I beg of all my friends here before me that because you have something, you have some strength, you have some standing in the society, let us all join together to fight ills of this society, which are based on caste or religion or vision or whatever it is, so that we stand for social justice and for society. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I now invite our guest of honor, Honorable Mr. Farooq Abdullah, Member of Parliament, President, Jammu and Kashmir National Conference, to deliver an address.
Mr. Wilson, thank you for organizing this meeting for social justice. I thank also the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, who was the champion of social justice. And I think he has done a commendable job in Tamil Nadu. As far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, we have taken steps from the very start of the independence of India. You will not find any suicides by our farmers, be they Dalits or others, because we gave land to tiller. Those who tilled it didn't get anything. But we took a decision then that they are the rightful owners of the land, and land was given to them without any compensation. Secondly, education was made free. from primary class to the university level for all, irrespective of what your caste is, what your religion is, how backward you are, so that you can prosper, and education was made free. Healthcare was made free. Now, I've heard many of the speakers here, unless, and I say this clearly, unless you elect a government that will think for all, not for one alone, one caste, one section, you will never find changes. After 15 years, today a bill was brought for women's empowerment. We've been shouting from pillar to post for that. Let us hope that this will give all, even backward classes, all minorities, a chance to be able to come to the house, the women who can speak for themselves and speak for the community, which will make a new change for the new parliament and the new India that we should see. There's no doubt there's tremendous discrimination. There is tremendous unemployment. And there is tragedy that educationally people are still far behind in many states. This cannot be changed unless we all work together. When I say together, let's forget what religion you have, what language you speak, what region you belong to. Unless we all sit together and elect a new government that is going to happen in 24, that will think for all, you will not be able to remove discrimination. Whether it's appointment of judges or whether it's appointment of any other form in services, in police, in army, in navy, air force, or government service. If you want truly representation of the people of India, then you need to have a government that will think in those terms. I'm sure you heard a lot of intelligent people speaking to you today. To Wilson, I'll say, keep on fighting. Unless we fight for our rights, they will never come. Let's unite and let's fight together for better India, a united India, for India which is inclusive India, where there's no division between one and the other, that he is first-class citizen, this fellow is second-class citizen, this fellow is third-class citizen. We're all citizens of this great nation. There is no doubt about it. I do not see myself as any other person but a citizen of this India and number one citizen. No such thing as 2, 3, 4. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you. I would have spoken to you much more, but I have to go to a function. That's why I asked Wilson if I could come to speak. My party and I, we are with you in this movement. We'll stand by you and we'll support you in every way to see that social justice is given to everyone of this nation. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. I now invite our guest of honor, Honorable Mr. D. Raja, the General Secretary of the Communist Party of India, to deliver an address.
Respected leaders of different political parties, civil society organizations, friends and comrades. I was present in the first conference of this forum for social justice. Now I am present in the second conference. So I commit myself as one among you. My party is one among you in the struggle for social justice. At the outset, I take this opportunity to congratulate and thank the DMK President, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, Thiru Stalin, for championing the cause of social justice in the given situation. Friends, comrades, social justice. What do we mean by social justice? Because justice is one, according to Dr. Ambedkar. It is social, political, and economic. So, how we can establish social justice? How we can establish political justice, economic justice? India is a country with tremendous diversities. Indian society is society based on three major evils. One evil is caste hierarchy. The other evil is class division, exploitation of the working people, their surplus value. The third evil is patriarchy, not giving adequate due place for our women and keeping women as underprivileged, or they cannot have equal rights with men, patriarchy. So these are the three major challenges: caste, class, patriarchy. How we are going to fight these evils? Unless we come together and fight against these evils, I do not think we can take the country forward. 2047, people may declare they would make India as a developed country. I would like to challenge them. 2047, of course, we will also be there. Would you guarantee the people of India that India would be free from caste hierarchy, free from class exploitation, free from patriarchy? How to fight? This is what Dr. Ambedkar warned when he moved the constitution, when he made that historic speech. Dr. Ambedkar said, India will be entering into a new life of contradictions. In politics, we will have equality. What does it mean? One person, one vote. But in social life, cultural life, we will not have any equality. One person, one value. When we are going to accomplish that? When we are going to accomplish one person, one value? Till that time, justice will be a big question. Again, Dr. Ambedkar, in the very preamble of the Constitution, made it clear: justice, social, political, and economic. You cannot separate social justice, political justice, economic justice. They are close. They form trinity. Dr. Ambedkar spoke about equality, liberty, and fraternity. They constitute a trinity. The same way, social justice, economic justice, political justice, they operate as a trinity. So how we can fight for political justice? How we can fight for economic justice? How we can move towards social justice? That is the challenge before us. That is the challenge before us. And in India, what is that Indian civilization? You cannot treat the citizens as equal. You don't treat the citizens as equal. And what is the meaning of civilization? What is there to claim big pride in our ancient civilization, modern civilization? This is what we should ask ourselves. We should ask ourselves how we can build a new India where we will have a new civilization, where we will ensure the empowerment, economic, political, social empowerment of all sections of our people. This is what we should think over now. And here again I go to Dr. Ambedkar. He was a great thinker and philosopher. Great thinker and philosopher. Karl Marx said, all philosophers have interpreted the world in various ways. However, the point is to change it. Point is to change it. Here in India, in Indian context, Dr. Ambedkar really showed the way how to change the society, how to move forward. That is where he architected the Constitution in such a way. The Constitution, the first thing is, Ambedkar made it clear, India can never become a theocratic nation, should never become a theocratic nation. Indian state should not become a theocratic state. If at all Indian state becomes a theocratic state, that will be the biggest calamity for the nation. This is what Dr. Ambedkar said. Now, irrespective of religions, everyone has to think over. Can we have a theocratic government, theocratic state? We'll have to ask ourselves. Then Dr. Ambedkar said, the Indian state must be a welfare state. That is where Dr. Ambedkar made it clear, all means of production must be in the hands of government, which is answerable to the people, And wealth should not be concentrated in the hands of a few people. And every citizen should have right to live with dignity. Right to live with dignity. This is what our Constitution speaks. So Indian state should be a secular state, number one. Indian state should be a welfare state, number two. Number three, Indian state should be a federal one. Ambedkar called initially United States of India. When he moved the Constitution, he said India, Union of States. This is what Ambedkar said. Now, as Indian citizens, as activists, what are we doing? Whether we preserve Indian state as a secular state, let us ask ourselves. Let us preserve Indian state as a welfare state. Then how come the corporate houses emerged and they are looting the nation, the people, as they like? And India feels proud. They are showing one or two corporate owners. They are the richest people in the world. Let them show the whole nation how people of India are living. Education, employment, healthcare, housing, food, these are all the basic issues of livelihood of the people. They are not privileges for some section. They must be rights of the people. People should have the right to education, right to healthcare, right to employment, right to food, right to live with dignity. Why people cannot have such rights? That is what we should think over now. We should ask, and everyone is talking about reservation. Yes, it was a different time. Reservation was brought as a policy, an affirmative action to uplift the exploited, deprived sections of our society. SC, ST were given. Later on, OBC was given reservation. Even I used to break my head. Why the term OBC is used? Other backward classes. Other backward classes. Then later on, I myself got convinced. SC, ST, they are already backward. But there are others who are also backward. Other backward classes or communities. And reservation was brought as an affirmative policy. Affirmative policy. And reservation, all of us know, it is in the government institutions, jobs, educational institutions. But now, everything is privatized. Everything is privatized. Your education is privatized. Healthcare is privatized. And what is happening to reservation? Even judiciary. Dr. Ambedkar himself has said, and the Chief Justice or Supreme Court judges or other judges, they do not come from heaven. They are also from our society, from among us. And how to conduct judiciary. That's where even former President K.R. Narayan, even former Judge Mr. Sadashivam, everyone said that Indian judiciary should have a social representation. It must be socially representative, Indian judiciary. What can we say now? On reservation, nobody talks about reservation in private sector. Ask Mr. Modi. He keeps talking about he will ensure that India becomes third largest economy if he comes back to power for third term. And he says he guarantees, Mr. Modi guarantees third largest economy. How we can make India as third largest economy? What about the SC, ST, OBC? How long we can call them as SC, ST, OBC? When we can start treating them as human beings, citizens of this country? They are not subjects of one government X or Y. They are citizens of this country. And they are children of this country. We are children of this country. And why we should be discriminated? Why we should be looked at as Dalits, Adivasis, or OBCs? What is this philosophy? What is this civilization? This is what we should ask. So it is a long-drawn battle, long-drawn battle. We can go on talking about economic reform, political reform, but they have no meaning unless you kill the monster. That monster is caused. Again, I'm not saying this. Dr. Ambedkar gave this warning. Wherever you go, that monster crosses your way. That monster is caused. Unless you kill that monster, no point in talking about political reform, economic reform. This is what Dr. Ambedkar said. This is what the society in which we are all living. This is the society in which we are all living. I am asking you an honest question. Do we ask our people to feel as normal human beings. The Constitution preamble begins, we the people, but in life, we become different. We become Hindus or Muslims or Christians, or we become Brahmins, Dalits, this, that, and here we talk about unity of the people. How we can achieve? Yes, there is a need ideologically, philosophically, we must fight for change of mindset, And we should see that the exploited classes, I use the word exploited classes, they can be Dalits, they can be Adivasis, they can be OBCs. They must be brought together. We must build unity among Dalits, Adivasis, and OBCs. There, even I can go to the extent, the exploited sections of other communities and castes, they also brought. This is where we as communists, we say the exploited people should be united. Socially exploited, economically exploited, politically marginalized, exploited. These exploited sections should be brought. And I use Marx, who said, let the world tremble at a communist revolution. Workers of the world, unite. You have nothing to lose except chains. Now in India, workers of India, the exploited people of India should unite. You have nothing to lose except chains. What are the chains? One chain is caste system. The other chain is class exploitation. The third chain is patriarchy. So unless we break these chains and liberate our people, social justice will remain a far-reaching goal. It will remain as a goal. And when we can achieve that goal, when we can move to the target, unless we break these chains. And social forum like this must intensify the ideological political campaign. And we must change the society in which we live. We must change. We must throw out governments if they do not act according to the constitutional values, the constitutional objectives. We should throw out. Now why we are coming together, why we are saying save India? Where is the danger coming to the country, save India? From whom we want to change India, save India? After saving India, where we are going to take India? How to change India? This is what we all should put our heads together. And we should fight together. And we must save India. And we must change India. We must take our people forward. And our people, wherever they are in Jammu and Kashmir, they are in Manipur, they are everywhere. Our people, they are all our people. And our people should live as equal citizens. All are equal. All should have the right to live with dignity. How we can ensure? That is the only way we can move forward to establish social justice. Once again, I take this opportunity to thank Mr. Wilson and the Social Forum for organizing such event every year. And now we should move to action also. We should think over how we can reach out to the people and mobilize the people, involve the people in the struggle for social justice. We'll think over on such issues also in the coming days. I thank everyone and I wish our struggle continues.
Marxist to deliver a special address.
Vanakkam. Thank you very much, Stalin and the DMK for inviting me to participate in the second conference on social justice. Since last year, since the last conference, the situation has deteriorated even further. And in fact, the country and the people are moving further away from the commitments and guarantees we had given to ourselves in the Indian Constitution. Apart from talking of liberty, equality, and fraternity, we promise justice, and that justice is social, economic, and political. In the last session of the Parliament, as the Modi government was announcing the various methods that they have taken, measures they have taken to improve the status of women in our country, what was the Parliament informed? The Union Home Ministry tabled this data in the Parliament, saying that 10,61,648 women above the age of 18 years and 2,51,430 girls went missing between 2019 and 2021. And most ghastly and frightening, what it shows, of 86 rape cases lodged daily, with 49 offenses against women per hour